We have the CAF President, obviously, joining us for the first time here on South African soil. But before I do that, I'd just like to acknowledge the people who are joining us here on stage. First of all, as I indicated, we've got the CAF President, Dr. Patrice Motsepe. We've got the SAFA President, our host, Dr. Jordan. We've got the COSAFA President, Dr. Philip Shiangwa. We've got the Chairman of the Premier Soccer League, Dr. Ivan Khoza. We've got the Minister of Sport, also our host here in South Africa, Mr. Natim Tetwa. I also acknowledge Dr. Patrice Motsepe, who have also joined us for this press conference. Please note this press conference is an international one. It's in 4 different languages, and it's in English, French, Portuguese, and also Espanol. Ladies and gentlemen, now without wasting much time, also please note that this press conference is also live on international feed and as well as the CAF digital platforms. Without wasting much time, let's please hand over to the CAF President, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, please. President, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With great humility, before we start, we've lost the king of the Zulu nation, our king, Isilo Samabanja, and we are going to ask that we stand up and observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Let me thank all of you for coming. I was told that I must keep my mask on as a sign of emphasis on the need to observe the protocols, and I'll keep it next to me. The second thing is it's a great honor for me to be home, and Africa is the home to all of us, and we thought that we should take this opportunity to communicate with the rest of the continent. There's a lot of global interest in terms of some of the plans that we are implementing. There's nothing fundamentally different from what was contained in the Business Manifesto, as well as what was contained in the press conferences that we had in Morocco last week. But the key issue is to allow many of the people who, for various reasons, whether it's COVID-19 or for other reasons, could not go to Morocco, an opportunity to ask questions and also to remind you of the absolutely urgent work. There's a huge sense of urgency, in terms of what needs to be done. And I can assure you in terms of what will be done. I said in Morocco that there are certain long-term objectives that we have to achieve, and I've got no doubt we will succeed in relation to some of them. And there are certain medium-term objectives and medium-term goals, and in some areas we will do very good, in some reasonably good, and in some maybe not as good as we would have wanted to, and there are certain short-term objectives. I'll talk about that later, but what I'd like to do is to hand over to our host, and before I do that, express my deep appreciation to my brother, our minister, who does excellent work and provides leadership, and really we've known that there's huge progress that we can see in all of your departments, and we are so honored, and thank you for the support you've given to sports, to football, arts and culture. And yeah. It makes me proud when I go on the continent and I hear other ministers talk so proudly about you. And then I want to thank my president, the president of COSAFA, for the passion, for the leadership, and also for his commitment. And I'm going to ask you that we clap hands for him. and thank my president. I've got so many presidents. I'm reminded that I've got 54 presidents, and it's a great privilege for me to be part of this African obligation that we have. And I was talking to people from the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, because it's not by coincidence that Africa has always been very close to the hearts of many of us. And I remember distinctly in the early 1990s when the ANC was unbanned and Thabo Mbeki spoke. President Thabo Mbeki spoke with so much passion about the importance of Africa and what our connection with the continent, as well as the fact that we are an integral part of the continent. Now, over the last 30 years in business, traveling in many parts of the continent, and we do business in 40 countries in Africa. It just emphasized what was initially an emotional bond with the continent, something that we conceptually understood, to the practical, cultural, as well as the commercial imperatives. But I'll talk about those things later. I want to thank my brother Danny for the hard work, for the sacrifices, for the leadership, and he will make his remarks. And then I want to thank my other brother there, Fesbonia ABC Motsepe, who the wonderful work he does. Of course, he does exceptional work at the PSL, absolutely unique work. But for family members, the part that is deeply emotional is the wonderful work he does with the club where I was born. And I must always remember, I'm now president of CAF now. And what I say about family clubs, including others whose names I cannot mention, but the others whose names I can mention, because that's where we come from and that's where we grew up. And Mwanako, thank you so much. So can we clap hands for, first clap hands for Dr. Jordan. Please clap hands for Dr. Jordan. And then let's clap hands for Mwanako, Dr. Koza. Clap hands for him. And very proud of Lux. You know, South Africans are, some of the things we don't control. There's a coach of a football club from Tshwane who went to another club in Cairo. Very, very proud. When Pizzo went to Al Ahly, we were all so proud because it's part of this African brotherhood, African pride that we have. And I wish him all of the best, and he must continue to make us proud. But Laxi as well. So you've got all of these members from different parts of the continent. And I was proud to hear him talk about how Dr. Koza inspired you. And this is beautiful because we've got exceptional young Africans in Nigeria, in West Africa, exceptional young Africans in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in East Africa. We've got incredibly talented young Africans in football, but also beyond football. And they get inspired by those who succeed in football. In North Africa, Cairo, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, and then, of course, in the South, we've got exceptional talent in all of the countries of COSAFA that are capably led by my brother, Philip. So, Denny, will you welcome us and lead us, and then we'll proceed. And then, of course, you will then introduce everybody else as the program proceeds, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. And welcome to all of you, particularly welcome to the Minister of Sport. I can remember when we had our first press conference. It was the Minister and myself, and they all asked, but do you have a candidate? Where's your candidate? He's not here. So we had to explain that it was COVID and so on. I don't think they were convinced. And so we had our skeptics, Minister. But as Madiba said, it's impossible until it's done. So, Minister, we have our candidate who's no longer a candidate, but a president. So I want to say congratulations, the President of CAF, Dr. Patrice Motsepe. Of course, I'm also very happy that the President of COSAFA is here, Dr. Chiangwa, and the Chairman of the League, Dr. Ivan Koza. When we had that press conference in the beginning, it was because the last 4 years, 2017, 2021, were years of African football of progress, but also of challenges, where CAF had its own critics and skeptics as to the future of African football. So we wanted a president with a track record of sporting success, business success, financial success. We wanted a president with a track record of institutional integrity, because clearly those were the issues. And last week in the Congress of CAF reported for the second consecutive year a financial loss. First in 2019, a loss of 6.8 million. In 2020, a loss of 11.4 million. So it clearly indicated to us that there is a decline in the financial fortunes of CAF. And one of the things that clearly stands out is that CAF has lost all its broadcast revenue. When you watch Mamelodi Sundowns and TP Mazembe today, it's not going to be on a broadcast channel. When you watch any football match on the African continent, it's not going to be on the broadcasters of this African continent. If you watch women's football on this continent, it's not going to be on any broadcaster. And that was a revenue of over 200 million that's lost to African football. And so we will place before you your first and immediate challenge to get African football back on African channels. It is the only continent in the world where its broadcasters are not televising its matches. There's no such continent in the world. And so it's something that we have to address. Because Africa has so much to offer to world football. We have so much untapped talent. We have human resources. But when we look at 2018 in Russia, other than Oceania, we were the worst performing continent. All of our 5 teams were out first round. Asia has outperformed us. And so there's a lot of work to be done. So that when we offer ourselves in service to the African continent, it is on the basis that it is ethically sound and that is world class. And this is what we believe, the kind of leadership that our president will provide. And in order to achieve success, we have to focus on unity. And while we acknowledge the linguistic differences, we have to recognize that it's more important that we have African unity. So we are more concerned about progress and achievement than the language that you speak. We are more concerned about where we're going and what the vision is than where you come from. So the path that we want you to lead and we are to follow, President of CAF, is something that was demonstrated in the 2010 World Cup. You may not know that Nigeria was a candidate in the 2010 bidding phase. We had a meeting with the Nigerians, and the Nigerians agreed to withdraw their bid. And so it was a North versus South bidding process. And Nigeria has shown their commitment again by being one of the first countries to come out and to support you, Mr. President. And this is the demonstration of the power of African unity and African solidarity. And we saw it again at the FNB Stadium when Ghana made it to the quarterfinal. All South Africans and all Africans were Ghanaian supporters. It doesn't matter which country you come from. We saw this as an opportunity of an African success, of African hope and African progress. Since then, and that quarterfinal match was the highest achievement of African football, and nothing better than that since 2010. In Brazil, it became worse, and in Russia 2018, it was the worst. And this is where we are. And so we can see our success on the African continent is intrinsically wound up and connected and based upon solidarity and unity. And so we hope that as we move into the future, that solidarity and unity would be the pillars as we pursue future progress for African football and generate hope again. We have some of the best players in the world. Strangely, we don't have some of the best performance in the world. And those players, when they put on the national team jersey, and Ronaldinho made the point the other day. He said when they put on the club jersey, they win any trophy, every trophy in sight. And when they put on the club jersey, we don't know what happens, but there's no trophy. And so we have to address those issues. So, President, you know how to win trophies. Let us win trophies for the African continent on the global stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just before, one of our exceptionally talented and bright young leaders in football in South Africa. I've had the honor to work with her many, many years ago when we were putting together, when we were uniting black and white business. And she did exceptional work then, and she does outstanding work at Kaizer Chiefs. Can we clap hands for Jessica Motong, please? Yeah. You see, the family is complete now. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Merci, President. Can we now move, thank you, President. Can we please now move to the COSAFA President, Dr. Shianga, please. Dr. Shianga, just some brief remarks from you, please. Merci. No problem, Dr. Shianga.
Firstly, let me welcome my Motsepe and my handsome boy over there. Yeah. Honorable Minister, sir, the CAF President, Dr. Motsepe, the SAFA President, Dr. Jordan, and the Vice President here present, Dr. Ivan Koza. Also my SG, Sue. I think Dr. Patrice was very happy with your performance during the struggle. You know, the moment all was set for this battle, we were ready for the fight. And I might say that in my case, this is my second time victory, putting somebody in CAF presidency. And I'm happy that, you know, it came to us in COSAFA because it was a regional pressing, so it had to stay here. You recognize that in 1957, South Africa was one of the founder members of CAF. And that since then, because of apartheid, South Africa had been banished from CAF, the body. And you are the very first African president of English speaking. There's never been such. So we are very proud of that from this region, I must say. But we thank our brothers throughout the continent who then thought it fit that they must come together with you and unite the continent. And I really think that from the preachings of the FIFA president, that message will always be there, that unity prevail and that football be played. We know the problems CAF has. The reason why we looked for you and have found you and have bestowed you with the leadership is because you can and you've led before. and you will certainly make us a success story. You are one of the most renowned, much talked about African success story. Therefore, please, the balance sheet for CAF is very weak. Strengthen it. Football needs money, and try and woo the sponsors to come back. It will also help COSAFA as a region. We have done very well. Each year we hold our tournaments, Mr. President. We've never failed, even under very difficult circumstances. I want to thank South Africa as a country, the minister here present, and my SAFA team, Danny and Ivan, for the support they always give us to make sure that we hold tournaments every year. And I'm very proud. Huge congratulations to you, Dr. Motsepe. You will guide us, and I'm happy that you are the president. Thank you so much. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, President. Now I would like to move to the next speaker, the chairman of the Premier Soccer League in South Africa, Dr. Ivan Khoza, please. Chairman.
President of CAF, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, Mr. Philip Chianga, the President of COSAFA, Dr. Denny Joran, the President of SAFA, and the Minister of Arts, Sports and Culture in South Africa, Baba Mthethwa. I'm very much, excited to be part of this unfolding history. And also, I'm happy that I'm sitting next to my colleague, my president, where we witnessed the ushering of an era in South Africa by hosting the World Cup for the first time in 100 years. Now, today we're sitting here unveiling the president in the southern tip of Africa, Anglophone country, Dr. Patrice Motsepe. Congratulations. I won't say much. I'm happy you are coming out fresh, successful businessman. CAF in Africa is looking for people with solutions. My caution will be that avoid paralysis by overanalysis, because we are looking for solutions. You are a businessman with the right nose. Whatever you have touched has been successful. Bring us along with you. But one central message which is going to make you successful in this most challenging endeavor is to utilize the collective intelligence available to you to make sure that you succeed. Because there's no room for failure, because expectations are very high. Dr. Jordan has mentioned why you was the choice to be president of CAF. So that in itself is a motivating influence, should be, not pressure for you. You're used to pressure. You don't sleep normally because you must watch what's happening in Australia, stock market, what's happening in American stock market, what's happening in Hong Kong stock market, the South African stock market, so different time zones. So you're used to pressure. So therefore, for me, CAF and the continent of Africa is blessed to have you, to be steering the fortunes of CAF going forward. Jordan has mentioned earlier on that we're not being broadcast. I want to repeat what I said in the launch of your manifesto, that it's important that we create product. If you don't have a product, you can't attract television. You must have a product. And we've got so much material to provide that product. We are supplying the whole world with talent. Why can't we have product? So therefore, the solutions are in the air. It's for us to harness them. I'm happy that you came in with the support of your family to make sure that you succeed, but not also underscoring the wonderful work of the campaign team that made sure that you are sent to this position. Thanking the minister also putting his foot forward in making sure that he created all the necessary protocols to make sure that you succeed. Dr. Patrice Motsepe, Monako Khai, I know if you put your first foot forward, you can make it happen. But the problems are huge. The challenges are huge. But that should be a motivating influence for you to give this continent the respect it deserves. It's very important that we cannot only produce the raw materials, but we cannot produce finished products. Very important for beneficiation of this most important resource that we have in this continent. So may God bless you to make sure that you succeed in this great endeavor. I won't talk as the chairman of the league because my president he has already spoken. Because whatever he says, I'm part of it. But on behalf of the 32 teams of the PSL, we were already excited for you to ascend to this position and make sure that, whatever help you require from most of us, the center must tell you that they're available to do whatever odd work you ask them to do. But the continent itself is looking for solutions, not today, tomorrow, but yesterday. May God bless you.
Thank you so much. Just a few things. Before I go into the specific issues we want to discuss briefly relating to football, and as I said earlier, to take questions, it's important. I saw Sophie Mokoena, one of my favorite, all of you are favorites, but she's a very special favorite. And when I saw her as I was coming in, and Sue, thanks for the wonderful work that you do. I thought of what happened on Friday. Now, on Friday, we went to bed very late at night, I think around about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I then, usually I have to keep my cell phones on because there are thousands and thousands of employees who work at the mines that I have responsibility for. And with the CEO and various others, I'm amongst the first that have to be told if there are challenges. But I thought on Friday, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I knew we had a meeting at 6, so I thought, let me switch off the cell phone, but something said to me, don't switch it off. And early on, very early on, in the morning, I got a call from South Africa. And usually when somebody phones and they phone persistently, it's an indication that I really have to take the call. And that's when I heard the really devastating news about His Majesty, the King, King Zwelithini. And I must say, I had a huge privilege over many, many, many years to work with him. And he was somebody who loved all South Africans, who loved the Zulu nations. And we always used to joke and say, you are king for everybody. You are the king for all of us, black, white, all of us. And that's why Friday was mixed emotions. And I knew on Friday that there was lots of work that had to be done, but it was also with that sense of deep loss. And when I told my wife, she just later couldn't stop, but really felt very, very hurt. And so we leave these, we just, as we said earlier on, may God continue to bless and protect the Zulu nation, his family, the monarchy, all of the kings and traditional leaders throughout South Africa, but also all of the traditional leaders that report to him. And we will always continue to make whatever humble contributions we can to the people, to all of our people in South Africa. And the last point I want to make is to say that we've noticed the challenges about many of our young students having challenges at school, in fact, at the universities. And Dr. Patrice Motsepe, on behalf of the Motsepe Foundation, is continuing. We've got thousands of students that we educate and continue to educate, but I just want to overemphasize that the problems of those young students and those young boys and girls who want to go to university, it's not just their problem, it's a problem of all of us. And it's a duty for all of us, to really make sure that every young South African who wants to go to university and study is given the opportunity that they deserve, and we as the Motsepe Foundation will, in fact, increase our humble contributions in that regard. Now let me go to the work that I have to do that brought us all together. I want to thank everybody. You were saying something. Sorry, the minister. Hey. You know, that's why it's good to have family members, you know. I had already thought that, you see, that's a problem with the family members. I was recognizing somebody, and Ukoza says, the other family member has to score the goal for us. Minister, now penalty for it. Can we clap hands for the minister, please? So what it means is when I talk, half of my thing has been done already, and I'll go. Thank you so much, Minister.
Minister, please. Minister of Sport in South Africa. Minister Nathi Mthethwa, please.
Well, thank you so much, President. How does it feel to be President?
My overdraft has just become bigger, Minister.
Thank you so much. And let me start by thanking South Africans who have shown tremendous support right from the beginning. As President of SAFA has said, that people were asking whether we are here to trick them because the candidate was not there. But people have been showing this support in this country, and thank you very much. We also want to thank our fellow brothers and sisters across the continent that when we made the call, because the call we made is that we are coming up not with a South African candidate, but with an African candidate who is going to ensure that the whole of the continent is served. But before reaching out to the broader society, we start at home. Thank you, the family. Our sister, Dr. Motsepe, Patrice Motsepe, and the whole family. Thank you very much for giving the support. There are people who dated their hands. President Chiangwa, your work on this region of ours. I remember when the president of FIFA came in here, he could see that there is an overwhelming support in the region. He could feel that unity from the regional point of view. And thanks to you, President. I want to thank SAFA and the president of SAFA who would be everywhere. You wouldn't know which country is he in at any point. But if you are to talk to him, you have to assume that he's not in South Africa, because he couldn't have been to South Africa if we were going to score the victory we've scored, which belong to us as South Africans, but to the whole continent as well. I also want to thank Chairman Khoza, Dr. Ivan Khoza. Your work reminded me of the stalwart of the struggle, the backroom boy, the late Andrew Mlangeni. The work you have put in behind the scenes is appreciated. But I must say that your presidency, President, symbolizes unity. Both Dr. Khoza and Dr. Jordan, we sat down at the beginning of the term of office, and we said that we are a nation of victory. We'll score victory every day and every time. So all these things which people talk about of disunity, let's deal a blow with that. And since then, we've been working very well with these leaders. And I want to take this opportunity now to thank you, because it's your unity which has brought us where we are today. And thank you very much for that. But let me shower the new president of CAF with felicitations. We are, as we declared earlier on, that the victory is certain. We said that last time we were here, and we've walked through that. But I want to thank you precisely because you were the kind of candidate who was very easy to sell out there. Why? Because we said there has to be a new beginning for CAF. CAF has to be in the news for all the right reasons. And it is going to be so because of your leadership. We said that we want ethical leadership in CAF for the benefit of the continent, and that is going to happen with you at the helm. We said we want to see CAF, which is going to move very fast from where it is to self-sufficiency. This is what President Jordan emphasized even today. We said that we want to see development of football on the continent. Less chasing money, but more chasing development of those youngsters. And we are certain we're going to achieve it because Africa's heritage in sport is football. And coincidentally, the African Union dubbed this year as the Year of Arts, Culture and Heritage. Yeah, it is the Year of Arts, Culture and Heritage. And therefore, our heritage has to be respected. That integrity has to be felt by everybody else. But to say to my counterparts across the continent, ministers, that all the 54 of them, this is your candidate. You are his presidents, all of you. And all of you will work with you to ensure that sport, particularly football on the continent, is taken where it is to higher planes. And that is possible. And again, that route is not going to be easy. But, Mr. President, you are equal to the task. Thank you very much.
Nyombos Wekas. Thank you so much. Can I talk now? Thank you. You see, that's the beauty of having all of these family members. Usually the minister is the last one to speak. And I was told always about this protocol, and I remembered that we need your inspiration, and thank you so much. Can we clap hands for the minister? I also want to express my gratitude to the leadership of SAFA that's here, all of the leadership, Natasha, and the whole leadership of SAFA. We are so grateful. Can we clap hands for them? Now, going to the work, I see we are all passionate about football, absolutely passionate. And my wife always reminds me of the day when we were young university students, very, very young university students. And I said to her, one day I'm going to own a football club. One day I want to own a football club. I think it was because of the passion that we've always had. And for us, football, Minister said something very important. Money. Now, we should not fool ourselves. Money is important. We need money to pay the players competitively, because we will not be able to keep the best players in Africa for the medium to long term if we don't compete. And I know from experience, because there are some leagues in Europe that we pay more money to our players already in South Africa than what they earn in Sweden, in Denmark, in Norway, in Netherlands, and many other countries. So it is already, we are already competing, but we need so much more resources, financing for the whole of the continent to make sure that the quality of African football. I remember Infantino called a meeting, was it last year in Cairo? Last year or the year before? The year before. So this means the year before. And this means the year before. And he was talking about these wonderful plans, and I was on my way to Europe, but I thought, let me go and also hear what they say. And there was discussion about the big plans for Africa and what could be done. Mwanagogai said to me, can we go and drink coffee? Now, we are in Cairo. So as we were standing aside, Dr. Koza said to me, Patrice, all of these wonderful discussions, mean absolutely nothing if you don't do what you've just said now. We are selling a product. A product. And if you look at, when Sundowns, I see the chairman of Mamelodi Sundowns is here. And of course, I have to stay very far away because if Bafana plays well and wins, they mustn't say that I was smiling too much with the referee. So I've got to, or even with everybody else. But we need Bafana to do well, and that's why I'm excited that the chairman of Pirates is here, the family club, the other family club is represented here by Jessica, Kaiser Chiefs is here, and Bafana must do well, just like every other African country. We want, during the next World Cup, and also during the forthcoming World Cups, that African nations compete. And if you look at what we said in the manifesto, it's part of our plan that an African team must win the World Cup. I think let's clap hands for that. The way you clap hands is like when I said to my wife, I want a football club. I want to own a football club. And of course, when somebody loves you, she says, you'll be okay. But I didn't have 5 cents in my pocket at the time, So no 5 cents in the pocket, but big dreams. I want to go back to the issue I spoke about. We need to get the private sector to sponsor African football. Huge, we must increase the sponsorship for the AFCON, make it significantly more substantial. We must increase the sponsorship for the Champions League, the African Champions League, make it significantly more. I mean, when Sundowns won the Champions League, I had to take money out of my own pocket to give them on top of that, the money they won. Because it was okay, but it was just okay. And they put so much money. And my brother here, we've got to get sponsorship for COSAFA, for all of the regions. I've said one of the things that I'm going to do as president is you can't have a meeting once a year of the 54 presidents of African football. Not when we have the kind of emergencies we have. So I told them in Morocco, I'm going to have 2 more meetings this year with all of the presidents of Africa. And we will there talk about what are the urgent steps. There's most probably 5, 7, 10 things that we have to do. And maybe somebody will say there are 12. But I don't want success in number 12 or number 10 or number 8 or number 7. I want success in number 1, number 2, number 3. So I started in business buying mines that were unprofitable, old, closed. And I remember the leader of the mine workers at the time, who was a very close brother of mine, said, I saw the headlines of the newspaper saying, Motsepe buys dead dogs. Dead dogs. Because they could not understand why would anybody who seem to be not so unintelligent, by minds that are losing money, that are old, that are closed, and that it's got a short life. But we did that because we saw opportunities there. And we saw opportunities because of the many, many years of hard work and studies we did all over the world. When I worked in America, I spent a lot of time looking at what made the mining jurisdictions and the mining countries in the world successful. When I was asked to stand as president of CAF, we had lots of fun because I thought, and of course they spoke and spoke, and I said clearly, no, because I've got so much work to do, a lot of work to do. But after 3, 4, 5 meetings, and what excited me is what I saw in terms of what we can do. We've got approximately 280 million young Africans between the ages of 15 and 24. 280. By 2050, we will have the youngest population in the world in Africa. By 2030, we will have close to 400 million young Africans between the ages of 15 and 24. If we do not give a future to those young people, we will have persistent instability, uprising, civil wars, and football has a unique role to play, And that's why I developed this 95% rule, that whenever I engage with the media or engage in the context of my responsibilities as president of CAF, 95% of our discussions will be about football. It has to be about football. And at the heart of that, it has to be about, we have to win. We have African football clubs, when we play internationally, we must not draw. We must not just play beautiful football. We have to win. We've got to score goals. We have to, at the World Cup level, succeed and be respected, because there's nothing that gives you more respect than success. And you can't argue against the results. You know, I don't know whether it was Danny or somebody was talking about when Ghana played against Uruguay in 2010. If that other young man, I don't want to mention his name, did not catch that ball that was going to be a goal, I think we were on the verge of something really, really great. So I have no doubt whatsoever. I've said that over the next 9 to 12 months, I will be visiting every single one of the African countries. And let me tell you this, I am hugely privileged. I'm hugely privileged in the first instance to have an exceptional wife like precious and brilliant young man. And of course, they recognize that we have a duty as a family. We were made what we are by the people of this country and the people of this continent. We have a duty to give back. And not just talk about giving back, but in a visible, quantifiable, tangible manner. There must be, we've got to touch the lives of as many people as possible. And of course, in football, we understand that we have to succeed on the continent. But I'm lucky that in the businesses that we started as a family, I've got brilliant people. And many of them are much smarter than I ever could be. So they will keep running those businesses. And I will have to focus in partnership with everybody here, because there is no leader. There is no leader that succeeds on his own. It doesn't exist. And I've got too many years of experience in business and in various other organizations to understand a leader is only as good as the people who works with him. So what I've said is this period of my leadership is going to be judged not by this beautiful manifesto that we've released, wonderful manifesto. I can't say anything more than what is contained in the manifesto. What is in that manifesto reflects lots of meetings and discussions with the presidents of football in Africa. And I asked them, guys, listen, what do we need to fix? What is wrong with African football? And of course, I've been in football now for 20 years, so I've got a good understanding. And I've got a good exposure. But the best ideas don't come from me. I know it engaged, talking to thousands of mine workers and asking them, these mines have to be closed. They're unprofitable. How do we fix them? And some of the best ideas came from ordinary mine workers. So as I've been traveling in the continent, and asking all of these presidents and the governments, what do we need to do to fix African football? And I got brilliant ideas, and it's there. At the heart of it is that football in every country. You cannot talk about African football, the renaissance of African football becoming globally competitive and self-sustaining. These are the words we use there. If there isn't success in the country, Orlando Pirates must continue to succeed and do well. Kaizer Chiefs must continue to succeed and do well. Amazulu must continue to succeed. All of the clubs in the PSL. The chairman must do what the chairman needs to do. Bafana. I can't be president of CAF and Bafana is not doing well. Come on, guys. So, I'm lucky that Danny and I are such good friends, so I can say things that I can't say in public. And Danny is doing exceptional work, but we have to succeed. And not just South Africa, every single country in Africa, every single one of the 54 countries in Africa has to do well, succeed, grow, be globally competitive, be self-sustaining. And you speak about TV rights. If you look at Africa, the one person that has done better than any other person in negotiating TV rights is Dr. Khoza and Kaiser Motaung. Exceptional. So I've already told Dr. Khoza that, he's got a role to play in South Africa, but I'm going to use all of the skills and expertise. And let me tell you now, I have the privilege of we are part of what's called the Giving Pledge that represents some of the most successful and some of the wealthiest families in the world. We are privileged to be part of that because we have committed to give half of what we own as a family to the poor. But that allows me to tap into networks of companies that do business in Africa, make good money from Africa, and we want them to continue making good money in Africa. But part of that is come and partner with us in football, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Senegal, in Cairo, in Egypt, in every one of the countries. So there's a lot that we need to do, and I refer you again to what we said in the manifesto. But I can tell you, Dr. Khoza said, I don't take any, did you say I don't take any nonsense, or did you say I don't take, but the principle was exactly something like that. I'm very polite and very respectful because I have to. And the older you become, I think you learn that maybe 20, 30 years ago, I was a little bit more intolerant. But you learn, and I think you learn more from your failures than from your successes. But the point I want to make is, I have no doubt in my mind, I am not going to be president of an organization which 4 years from now hasn't had significant, tangible, practical, accessible progress. It's not going to happen. And which means, and I already had a meeting with the staff. On Friday after I was elected president, I was planning to be in Cairo on Sunday. And they told me that a huge chunk, 80% of the staff was in Morocco. So I called them on Friday. We had a wonderful meeting. And it's important. There's a message I want to give to all of us. All of us. We must stop being excessively pessimistic. We must stop being excessively negative. There's no country. There's no... I mean, I remember in the early 90s when Mandela came out of jail and out of prison, and there were lots of private meetings. And I was often in the meetings, I was the youngest person there. I didn't know why they called me. But in some of those meetings, 90% of the time was spent on criticizing each other, what we failed to do, why we don't succeed, and you know, not just in business, but also meetings with professionals. And it's important to identify our weaknesses and our failures, and we've got to fix them. We've got to fix them, and we will fix them. But there's no continent, there's no country, there's no organization, there's no club, there's no business that has succeeded because we keep talking about our failures and our weaknesses. And you know, Africa has got a loss of $10 million, the whole of Africa, and Europe has got an excess of billions. We know that. And we've got problems with TV rights, and we failed with TV rights. We know that, but that's behind us now. And you know, many of the club owners can't even pay their salaries for themselves and for the staff. Correct. We've got to fix those things. But a feature of the most successful continents, organizations, is this optimism, positive attitude. We can succeed. We will succeed. I bought mines that were unprofitable, old, but I did that after extensive evaluation and stuff, and I believe that we will succeed, not in the short term. So I want to leave and say that my final remarks, I'm confident, I'm absolutely confident that over the next few years, African football will indeed become better, will improve in all of the areas that we discussed. And the bottom line is, it will indeed be globally competitive, and it will indeed be self-sustaining. And we will do it because all of us believe in that, but also because all of us are optimistic and positive and believe in the capacity of ensuring that African football is not just as good as the best in the world, but succeeds and does become the best in the world. I want to thank you with those few remarks, and then let's clap hands for everybody and we'll take questions.
Merci, President. I will now take questions from members of the media. Please do us a favor, just introduce yourself. I'm only going to take one question, no commentary, just straight to the question.
Yeah.
Please
and remember, we've got 5 very capable people, including Jessica there, Sue, and Natasha, and others there. So we will answer all of those questions. Thank you.
Merci, President. So please just keep your questions very brief.
Let's take the first 5, ne?
No problem, President.
Yeah. And the difficult one I give to Dr. Koza and to Jenny, and I take the easy ones, and the Minister and Philip. Sorry, continue.
Mark, you go first.
Can you pass the mic? Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, just hold it and don't touch it, okay? Thank you.
Mark Stradum, Times Live, Sowetan Live. President, just...
No, I know you, sorry, just for the benefit of others. Tell them where you come from.
Yes, Times Live, Sowetan Live, Rena Holdings.
Thank you so much.
President, just very interested in the traveling to each African country.
I'm going to ask you
to take the mic.
Yeah, just and Betsy, stand very far from him so that he doesn't interfere with you.
The intention to travel to every country, it's laudable, and I think it can go a long way as an unknown on the continent in African football, relatively, in winning support. Can you just take us through the logistics of that? When does it start? It's 54 countries in 52 weeks. How practical is it? Are there regions you're going to go to first? North Africa, West Africa? Yeah, just the logistics behind that. And can I ask a second question or not?
Just one question, please, Mark. Thank you very much.
That's just for him because he looks so good. Continue.
Thank you, President. The second question is, of course, as Dr. Danny Jordan referred to the, alluded with the broadcast deal, that there's no other continent where the football is not broadcast. That's obviously a priority. Can you also just take us through the logistics of that? When do you start addressing that? Do you put in place a task team? I'm sure Russell Paul referred to it as the low-hanging fruit of something you can address very quickly. Just how quickly will you begin? Again, it's something that can really win you a lot of support in your new presidency across the continent. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Next question. Let's go next to you, Velile, and then we'll come to the gentleman to you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Velile Mnyandu, SABC and Freelance Challenge President. Congratulations on the confirmation. Can we just go back to your first EXCO meeting this past weekend and some of the decisions that took place there? If you can just expand on the choice of the new SG under your leadership, Mr. Veron, and also a revolutionary decision of having a first female VP, Mrs. Khanizat Ibrahim. And if you can just describe for us, how was that first EXCO meeting?
My apologies. The last question,
if you can just describe for us, how was that EXCO meeting?
Thank you. Engos.
Okay, Alan. Opangli.
Congratulations for your victory, Mr. President. We knew you would win, of course.
Sorry, just for the benefit, just tell them who you are and where you come from.
I'm Alan Atanga Anyele, Vision View Sports Radio.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. As I said, congratulations. We knew that you would win, and we have no doubt that with the team you have, the sky would be the limit for Africa. However, my question has to do with the TV rights. Africa has suffered a lot, both supporters as well as federations, as a regard of the Lagadière cancellations. And it has also raised a lot of eyebrow on the continent. My question, since we've been victims of foreign companies that come for mercantilistic purposes and that don't care about the welfare of Africa and the football itself. And also considering where you come from, which is South Africa, that promotes the use of local, or, well, the term is more PEE and all of those. Don't we have capable African companies that can broadcast our own games? I say this in light of what former President Thabo Mbeki said a couple of years ago when he was discussing the African Renaissance. To the media, he said, you as African journalists, you should tell stories that reflect our Africanness. And I do believe that it is also reflected in this, if we can have African teams.
Can I just ask everyone, just question, because there is many questions, they are going to forget.
Okay.
Straight to the point, ask the question and then move on to the next point.
Are you considering bringing in more African or giving the production of African games to Africans themselves?
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. I'll take two more questions and then we'll close this round. TK? Oh, sorry, Jeff.
My name is Mr. Jeff Katala from DRC. I'm a freelance journalist. Congratulations, Mr. President. And please, Lax, I was asked by my network to ask a question, some question in English, in French, but I won't have that opportunity, please. And we're not talking to the president of Mamelodi Sundowns.
You can ask the question in French, eh?
Yes.
You come from a country that's very close. You know I got my name from your country.
Yes.
So you can ask if you want to.
Lax, we're not talking to the president of Mamelodi Sundowns. We're talking to the president of CAF. And this is 54 countries. So when you cut us, you cut this and cut that, we won't have much opportunity to see Mr. Motsepe, the current president of CAF, to interact with him most of the time. Monsieur le Président, félicitations. Vous avez gagné une élection tout à fait...
Now I need a translator to come nearby. You know?
It's okay, President.
Just 1 minute. Where's the translator?
Huh? He will do the translation. The translation is at the back, but he will translate.
You'll do. Thank you. You know, I tell you, French is such a beautiful,
Alan, just take the...
I do this because I represent a lot of people that are outside of the country. And they have asked me to ask this question.
You know, I think there's too many instructions here.
Can I just ask you to go that side?
Let's give him a mic. Give him a mic. Yeah, there's a mic. Thank you so much. You see, we're all leaders here. I said turn left, and then he says right, and somebody says stand right where you are. You've got it?
Yes.
Can you please proceed? Merci, Président.
Félicitations, Monsieur le Président. Nous avions bien accueilli votre victoire, mais nous avions remarqué que derrière votre victoire, il y a toute une pléthore de dirigeants, une présidence, un président avec 5 vice-présidents, et c'est pour la toute première fois qu'on voit un secrétaire général qui n'est pas de la famille de Mustapha Fami, mais qui vient de toute façon de l'Afrique centrale, Vernon Mosengo. Par rapport à ce qui s'est passé...
Hold on. Take it step by step. Repeat. Ask the question.
Okay.
What he said so far.
Congratulations.
In case you forget the rest of what he says. Let's continue.
Congratulations for your victory, Mr. President. It was expected. It's the first time, it's the first time that we see someone as Secretary General of CAF who is not from the Mustapha Fami family.
Sorry, who's not from which family?
From the Mustapha family.
Mustapha family.
From Egypt.
It is you're the president for the very first time, we have a lot of vice presidents, 5 of them. And for the very first time, we see that the Secretary General is not coming from the Mustapha family. He comes from Central Africa.
It was a message to you. Not just in Africa, but in the DRC, to say, there is beautiful, beautiful talent. He's world class.
Well, his nationality is being questioned. Because
his nationality?
His nationality. Because he has opted for the Swiss citizenship than Congolese citizenship.
We'll tell him to drop it. And
yes, we'll tell him. It is just an administrative paper.
I'm just joking, but he's... So continue.
Alan?
Yes, I think he said all, including the 5 vice presidents, and the need, is there any need for to have 5 vice presidents?
Et par rapport à ce qui s'était passé il y a quelques années avec Ahmad, avec l'inspection menée par Fatma Samoa, il s'est fait que Gianni Infantino s'est ravisé de ne pas, parce qu'on avait entrepris pendant dans notre réseautage, que Fatma Samoa sera le secrétaire général de la CAF. Et cette fois-ci, nous avons eu la nette impression avec nos analyses que...
slowly, yeah. Translate.
Okay. During an inspection, Ahmad, I think Samora was supposed to become, according to Infantino, thanks to Infantino, was supposed to be Secretary General of CAF. But this time we have the impression that that's where you stopped.
Well, should I continue in English?
Continue.
In English?
No, en français, allez-y.
Because there are a lot of people outside. Okay. Les ont dit que, nous avons dit que dans notre réseautage, que maintenant, Gianni Infantino est très intelligent. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle il a planté son ami Vernon Mosengo comme secrétaire général de CAF au lieu de Fatma.
Okay. Mr. Katala, can I just ask you that you just briefly ask your questions? We just don't have enough time. Please just get to it.
Failure to bring in Samora, I think Gianni Infantino was very wise. And that is why he's brought in his friend Veron as Secretary General of CAF.
Okay, is that...
No, that's not a question. But now we're very happy that you're the president, and Africa could never ask for more. Please, Lex, you could never ask for more than you. Integrity, personality, pedigree, authority, corruption, you know that. You're very new. And we are very happy. You have 54 countries behind you.
Thank you.
And we all behind you. And for the very first time, I can say that, please, let us use this opportunity to beat Infantino to his own game and appoint you as the next candidate for the FIFA presidency.
Mr. President.
I can guarantee you I've got no ambitions and no intentions ever for running for FIFA. I think Infantino is the best and I'll always support him. Merci beaucoup, President.
Thank you, Jeff. Can we just move on to the next?
Can we clap hands for him, please? And let's
He gave his own speech, President.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
One last question, then very brief, please. Pratike, very, very brief. And then we'll allow the President to answer.
Thomas Kwenaite, Super Sport. Mr. President, congratulations. What I wanted to know is...
Mkaya, so some people
Mkaya, okay. Mkaya. Mkaya, across the African continent, a lot of governments play a key role in supporting football. But sadly, the last couple of years, a lot of governments are reluctantly trying to withdraw their support because some of the monies they intended for football development kind of disappeared. Do you have plans to approach governments across the continent not to withdraw their support because we still need them in football? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. The Minister will answer that one, because otherwise, so that all of the governments in the country, I mean, our government is doing an exceptional job. And I must say, what I saw in the continent, some governments really doing a wonderful job. Those are the questions, eh?
Correct,
okay.
Correct, President.
We'll answer quickly. Dr. Koza,
TV rights.
You heard, just would you want to answer some of them that you think you can answer?
Thank you, Mr. President. The issue of broadcasting is a very challenging one. I'm not privileged like Dr. Jordan, who was a member of the Executive Committee of CAF, to understand the details on the Lagadier contract that was cancelled. But to say we're a victim of foreign countries in the continent and with no broadcasting options. Broadcasting is a challenging environment. And when you talk about broadcasting now, you must now talk about what is called content. How compelling is your content to be on the platform? And unfortunately, the world now is evolving because platforms are emerging every day, which are now diverting, audiences, to various platforms. So therefore, if your platform is not attractive enough, then you are bound to have challenges. But what I assessed, conservatively, without casting any aspersions, is that most of, the broadcasting houses in the continent are not commercial. And when you are not commercial, obviously, it's making it difficult for you to have enough resources to buy broadcast rights, to make sure that you compete, with what's on the table in terms of accessing those broadcast rights that you need to give to your continent or to give to your country or to give to your region. So one of the biggest things is that you have now encroachment of international companies who are now in the space of buying content or buying broadcasting rights, making it difficult, for those rights, to be accessed, by people. Now, if you say that we must have our own kind of broadcasting to broadcast our games, it's good, but it takes resources for those games, to be on television. Now, that broadcasting company or that country, they've got the resources to buy those rights and also able to produce those rights into what's called content that is desired by the respective people to tell our story. So these are the challenges that I see from outside looking inside. So until such time I've been given the privilege, to know some of the details, I can comment better. But what we have in the continent is few broadcasting houses that have got the resources to buy the rights and compete. It's few companies or broadcasting houses. Take our country, for instance, South Africa. SABC has got a challenge where there's a certain mandate it must pursue. With the limited commercial platforms that they can generate enough money to provide for that content that is desired, and also to give money to the sporting cause that requires money to pay for their rights, because they don't generate enough money to be able to pay those rights, to those respective, federations. So it's a homework for another day to be discussed. But what is the challenge is that how now do we create products around those, matches, around those, events, that are being generated by COSAFA, by CAF, to make sure they are attractive to the broadcasters, limited as they are, in offering, the money that we want. But if we attract a lot of eyeballs, a lot of, traffic, then it becomes easy. It's a question of being strategic as what is the market looking for. So the market is becoming fragmented because of, the choices of the new markets that are coming up, especially the youth. Youth are not like us where they were just fixed to linear television. So they go to other platforms that we don't even know. Jessica will tell you that every week, the games are televised. There's a lot of streamings that are taking place that are not authorized. That are mushrooming every day. In a weekend, you get about 200 streaming companies or people, individuals, offering sites to people that are supposed to be part of SuperSport, part of SABC, part of NCA, but they are not. They're not paying money to anybody. They're owning money themselves. So it's a challenge that you must deal with. So it's a lot of other things that are problematic that need to be dealt with so that you're able to realize the value that you want to see. But it's not an insurmountable challenge. It's to be strategic, how you are fomenting your rice package to be able to give you the money that you want. We've got tournaments in CAF, which are very attractive, and I'm happy that, slowly, there's been a conscious decision on CAF to make sure that they does not compete with the European champion competitions, so that you are not going to have enough what I call attractiveness when you have our competitions playing, so that those other competing companies overseas, they can buy the broadcast right of the CAF competitions or COSAFA competition. So that has been taking place slowly, watching from outside, looking inside. So maybe if I get the privilege of being giving that information, I can comment better, but there's opportunity, there's big potential of making sure that strategically you position the right in a way that are going to be attractive and give you the money that you want for your programs and projects in the CAF administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent question. And I'll tell you why, because of the experience. You've got extensive experience in terms of the good work, TV negotiations for the PSL. And I think I was doing inquiries over the last few months. The work that you've done for football here is better than any other on the continent because of the quantum. So we want the highest amount of money throughout the continent. And because in every country, we want every country to get the highest amount of money. Denny, are there any questions you want to respond to? I was being reminded we're running out of time, so we'll answer as quickly as possible. Denny? There's no... Okay. Minister, is there anything? Philip? Okay. Let me say two things. Let me tell you something important. We have to take these Africans who are what I call part of the diaspora. Whether it's Pogba, whether it is Mbappe, whether it is any of those who come from Africa who are now citizens of other countries. And I can tell you, many of them that I've met, even those who grew up, whose parents left and grew up in Europe or even in America, deep emotional bond with Africa, including those who left hundreds of years ago as part of the diaspora. We need them. So for me, it was important to send a message to the DRC and to send a message to Africa that in Veron, we've got world-class material. And I hear what you are saying about and the issues you are raising. Veron loves Africa deeply. And he said to me, I want to make a contribution. The problem I have, I need results. I need results. And I need somebody who can hit the ground running. There are many bright, smart people who still need to go and learn and get exposed. Football is unlike any other industry. I mean, we are in mining, we are in banking, we are in insurance, we are in technology, we are in agriculture. We are in football as well. We are in philanthropy. And the benefit is you learn that every industry has got its own challenges, its own unique problems and difficulties. So, and what I like is when I mentioned Veron's name in the presence of all of those presidents, they were so excited because they were saying to me that we have been working with Veron for many, many, many years. Here is a son of the DRC, the country of Patrice Lumumba. Just like Tanzania is the country of Julius Nyerere, South Africa, the country of Nelson Mandela. It goes on and on. But here are these African presidents who've worked with Veron, because Veron was heading up for the whole world in his position. And every time it came to Africa, huge passion, huge love, huge commitment. So I think we are deeply privileged to have Veron, and I am going to keep looking for some of the best, smartest Africans, whether they are we have Africans in China, in Japan, because we always think of Africans in America, in Europe, in the Caribbean. And to the extent that they can partner with us to make African football better, we will keep engaging with them. You are asking about the logistics and the 52 countries, absolutely correct. And this is where I have to strike a balance, because we already were working on Sunday. You know, we had meetings on Saturday, we had meetings on Sunday, we had very private, sensitive discussions about some of the urgent things that we need to do. So you are right, I have to find the balance between visiting those countries. Very good question. That's why I said 9 to 12 months. And the need for results. Because there's nothing that contributes to success as much as success itself. There is nothing that contributes to optimism, to positivity, as much as positivity itself and as much as optimism itself. The TV rights were dealt with. I was asked about the 5 vice presidents. I mean, I chose, for the first time in the history of CAF, as much as my brother Philip was saying, for the first time in the history of CAF, you've got an English-speaking president with a French-speaking name, and with an African Chopin, Chopi, all sorts of names, beautiful names, names that come from the villages I come from. But we've never had a woman vice president. So I was talking to Jessica this morning in terms of the excellent work that she's been doing in women's football and her exposure to football, women's football in CAF. You know, just like I'm going to abuse my relationship with Dr. Koza, and abuse in a nice way, where I'll be saying to him, but there's exceptional experience here on the negotiation of TV rights. So we need you to play a role there. I'm going to be Jessica, Natasha, and various others to say, you've got a passionate love for women's football, come. And you bring unique talents, unique expertise, but also unique passion. But I did want to say, and Sue do, as I said earlier, excellent work. We want women's football in the period of my presidency to be significantly growing and progressing and prospering. And somebody was saying to me, we could actually have an African nation winning the FIFA Women's World Cup before we have a male team. So the vice president, the first time that there's a female vice president, should serve as a huge encouragement and an inspiration for young girls to say, look at where she is. But also, football is not only about football. That's why I said 95% of what I do as CAF president is about CAF. But young boys and girls, when they see Jessica, Dr. Precious, Natasha, Sue succeeding, they, whether she wants to become a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, an engineer, she looks at Sophie Mukwena doing the beautiful work she does on TV. All of the dreams of these young girls, they get inspiration and they pursue those dreams. And football has a unique role to play to showcase the very best that we have. I was asked, how did my first EXCO meeting go? Very well. And I saw something in the press. I didn't read it because it was a French article about the president of Gabon. They say in terms of the issues that we had at EXCO. One of the things I had to do was to announce the vice presidents. And I have to look at, as I said, the issue of women was critically important to me, but also the issue of the continent. You want to have leadership from every part of the continent so that they feel that they are part of that. So the president of Gabon, in the paper, they were saying that he was asking, why did I not... but anyway, the point is, we have to create a culture where people can speak. I mean, this culture that you've got an organization where what the president says is what happens. So if the president says we're now all going to jump off a cliff, that's it. I mean, it's wrong. We've got to allow people to disagree with the president, to give the president different views. We succeeded in our businesses over the last 30 years because we had people who didn't only have different views, but had to create an environment in the interest of all of us. And I became the biggest beneficiary of that. Of people, of course, politely, respectfully saying, your thinking here is not good for the organization. Sometimes you want to open a new mine in Zambia, and they say, no, we shouldn't be in Zambia, we should be in Ghana. Or I say we must start a new business in Tanzania, and they say, no, it shouldn't be Tanzania. So the culture has to be one where people can speak freely. It helps me, it helps African football, and it also gives a sense of ownership, that you are part of, it's a collective leadership process. I think we've finished, we've answered all the questions.
You've answered all of them.
Did you
with your permission, Mr. President, can I just ask you one last question and we'll wrap up the press conference because of time.
Thank you so much.
There's just one question. It's just about the Africa Cup of Nations. You addressed this in Morocco about will it remain every 2 years, and afterwards that will be the last question.
So what is the question?
The question is from Reuters, from Mark Gleason. He's asking about the Africa Cup of Nations and whether or not it will continue being a 2-year event or a 4-year interval.
A very important question. I mean, this is one area where there were different views amongst different people. And I've got no doubt where we are now, it has to be every 2 years. There's no doubt about that. Let me say something quickly. African football needs partners. And you need partners who can make things happen. You've got partners who've got brilliant ideas, it's fine. You've got partners who will encourage you, it's fine. But we need partners who will be with us on the ground and in this practical, tangible, accessible manner, make a difference in Africa. So Infantino, in all of the discussions and his passion for African football, his commitment to African football, his partnership to make African football succeed, and the discussions I've had with him for quite some time, and that's why I can confidently say that I'm absolutely committed to work together with him, to partner. He's my brother. He loves Africa. And I need him to help us do the things we need to do for Africa. Just like I need the private sector, and we will be working with the other leadership in the other continents. And as we engage with them, my main obligation is to do what's in the best interest of Africa. You will make one concluding remark, and I'll make a concluding remark, and we close. Hand over to you, Lux.
Mr. President, I can never speak after you, Mr. President. I guess you will have to give us the last word, and then we'll finalize this press conference.
Thank you, Lux. I just want to conclude by thanking all of you and saying that we need every one of you. The work has really begun. We know we are football people. We need results. We need to score goals. At the end of the 90 minutes, we need to win. We will win. We will succeed. I want to thank my brother, Dr. Koza, my brother, Dr. Jordan, to my brother, the minister, and my brother, Philip, and as well as you, September, and my beautiful wife, and my son, and everybody who's here. Thank you so much. Can we clap hands for everybody?
Can I ask just only photographers, that concludes this press conference, this live edition of the press conference, just before you come, because we are just on a live feed. Thank you very much, everybody. That concludes this press conference. Now, I will now take, after 30 seconds, just invite the photographers to come on stage. You must always give the guys a chance. You know? Okay.
We're going to take a few photos here. Okay, let's take, I'm going to ask Jessica to come so that the Kaiser Chiefs part of the family is also taken care of.
Can I ask that you don't get too close?
Yeah.
Just give it a little bit of a space.
Okay. Can we all we'll take photos. Thank you.